Good morning, everybody. Lex here. This video will be about character creation for my Havoc5 system, which is my own universal rules light RPG. It's a dice pull mechanic. It's all d6s. Now, during the character creation process, the only time you roll dice is for your starting currency amount, which is right here. So let's start at the top here. You have the 5 cores, which is Hardy, Agility, Valor, Optics, Craft. Hardy is for physical strength. Agility is for physical speed, coordination. Valor is for self-confidence. Optics is for awareness. And Craft is for intelligence. Your defense, which is right here, is the highest rated value of any worn armor. Armor basically soaks incoming hits during combat. The most worn armor allowed is equal to your Hardy, and armor does not stack. It's only the highest rated armor that's considered for the defense. If you don't have armor, your starting defense is 1. Your hit counter, which is right here, tallies how many hits you can take. On your 5th hit, you're incapacitated. I'll just keep recording. Why not? Your basic details, you have your name, age, gender, race, appearance, class, backstory. Then there is your core focus, which is the core that seems most relevant to your class. So, as an example here, a fighter would be Hardy, a thief would be Agility. Whichever core you choose to be your focus, you would circle it. This basically grants you a reroll on any failed action, or as I call it, core checks, which we will get to after the character creation process. Inventory, you can carry up to 5 items plus your Hardy, so Hardy plus 5. Essentially, if you have Hardy of 5, you have 10 total. But there's obviously sufficient room here to write in more items if you have a bag, a carrying case, a pouch, sack of sorts. You typically start with a 1 plus item, 1 plus armor, light source, 3 rations, and 5d6 currency. So let's get those 5 dice ready, which I mentioned earlier is the only time you roll dice for the character creation process because this is a point buy system to set up your character. Your energy points is a tangible source of effort used for abilities and rerolls. You start with an EP equaled to your craft plus 5, and you always track the maximum and current. So let's go to the top here, and you have 5 points to spend to allocate to any core, maximum of 3 per core, and there's also a minimum of 1 here. So each core starts at 1. Any core you don't tally add to is 1. So we basically can fill in each square here like you're taking a test, like so. These 5 do not count towards our 5 allowed. As always, I'm going to make a fighter. His name will be Wolf, which is my go-to, the lone wolf himself. And his Hardy will be his core focus. So I'll put 2 points into Hardy and then circle it, meaning it is a reroll when failed. So 3 is the most you can put. That's 2 spent. Let's put the 3rd into Valor, the 4th into Agility, and then the 5th into Crafts. Sorry, Optics. So we have 3d6 for Hardy, 2d6 for Agility, 2 for Valor, 2 for Optics, 1 for Craft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there you go. Because I mentioned earlier that we are going to be a fighter, this will be our class. Since my game is universal, it would be practically anything. Sci-fi, cyberpunk, modern day, Call of Cthulhu based, post apocalyptic like Fallout, anything. My game is compatible with it. That's why I have abilities. Now, defense is going to be, for now, just a 1 until we get to it. We'll get armor here in a second. Your hit counter, which I got, like I said, it's up to 5 here. Your basic details. So we need an age. Let's say we're 32. Gender, we're male. We're human race. Appearance, let's say, to use Carl Urban, like from Dread. So I'll put Dread, which I really wish they made a sequel, but they haven't yet. Not even a show based on Mega City 1. Okay. Core focus, we got that inventory. So Hardy plus 5, we can do essentially 10 items, but, I'm sorry, 7 with the 3 here. But we tally, we write in our starting weapons. Because he's a fighter, we'll do a sword plus 1. We'll do leather armor, which is plus 1. That extra 1 goes to our defense. So now he has a defense of 2. He also has 3 rations. And a light source. So let's say if this is going to take place in fantasy, we'll do a torch. 5d6 ration, or 5d6 currency. So whatever the currency is in your game, credits, gold pieces, cash. So pretty good roll, actually. 11, these 6 and 5, 11, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So 21 gold pieces, which I'll typically just put up here. A $sign, 21 gold pieces. There we go. And the energy points is your craft plus 5. So craft is our lowest Q, lowest core. So that'll be 6 out of 6. So yes, 6 energy points to spend on certain things. Okay. Because our craft is not 3, we are not going to have a starting ability. If you have abilities are basically, it's a placeholder for magic, psionics, superpowers, mutations, simply heroic abilities. If you have 3 or more in craft when you start, you can start with 1 ability, but that's not the case. I have no ability. You know, heroic smash or something, since our character is not exactly magically magically endowed, magically adept. Okay, that's the character creation process. Backstory, you can fill in anything you want. Orphanage, born, used to be in the military, anything. So with this character, I'll just leave it as it is. XP is obviously when you track experience points you can spend to upgrade your cores. Now let's go through the rules because it has seen some finesse. The biggest thing in the game is the core check. That is basically the main mechanic. Essentially, as it says here, you choose the core that is most relevant for the attempt you're going to take at something risky. Then you have to decide on the risk factor. You have the 5 risk factors here. Normal was actually 2 in my previous rendition, but I figured half of 5 rounded up is 3. So 3 is the normal difficulty of checks required. A check is a 5 or more when you roll each d6. And let's say our character Wolf is trying to break down a door. He has 3 in Hardy, which is 3d6. You have to match or exceed the amount of checks required to be successful. A roll of 5 is 1 check. A roll of 2 is 2. Roll of 6 is 2 checks. 5 is the sweet spot for this game. 5 is the big theme. Havoc 5. 5 abilities, 5 some factors here considered addition of 5. So like you have 5 points to allocate for your cores. You have 5 plus your crafter EP, 5d6 for currency, stuff like that. 5 is the bread and butter of this game. But since Hardy is also our core focus, we can re-roll if we fail the roll. So let's gather our 3d6. Our character Wolf is trying to break down the door. It's going to be, let's just say, hard. So 4. We would need 2 5s and a 6 to match that because we don't have enough dice if it's just 5. 4 is the difficulty. It's hard. So we roll. And in this case, we failed because we only have 2 checks, which is the 6 here would be 2 checks. Let's re-roll again because, again, this is our core focus. If we fail, we can re-roll again. We failed. We can only re-roll once. But experience points, or I'm sorry, the EP, the energy points you have, which I used to call power points, but that was a little too close to an existing game. You can take away, let's say, 4 of your EP to change these to 2 5s, 1 6. Thus, you are successful. Now, that is how a basic check, core check, would happen. It says that obviously anything less is a failure, which we did fail in that test roll. You have to check each d6 individually, by the way. You don't add up the roll you have, the rolls you have. So that's core checks. Pretty simple. Now there's combat, which gets a little more involved. Turn order. You typically go first. I allow the characters to act first, unless you are, of course, ambushed or surprised. Combat is split into 2 participating factions. If there are multiple participants within one faction, then they will take turns in order as they see fit. Once all participants complete their actions, then the next faction does the same. Combat actions detail what you want to do, then roll a core check. Combat actions can be practically anything that seems logically possible during your turn in combat. I'm going to change that because that's a little redundant. Attacking is the most common action, thus this would be your attack roll. In world timing, your turn or your action would be a few seconds. So here's attacking. When attacking with a melee weapon, this has changed. Before my version, it was just the weapon would have an X amount of dice. I now went back to including the relevant core plus a weapon bonus, which we'll get to in a second. When attacking with the melee weapon, you roll your hardy core. So this would be our hardy 3d6. And add your weapon bonus. Range weapons use agility core. So in this case, it will be 2d6. If the target is behind an obstacle or simply too far, exclude the weapon bonus and only count your core agility roll. For brawling or unarmed combat, only roll your hardy core, so they'll just be 3d6 here. Your goal is to deal more hits than your defender's defense. Similar to a core check, a check in combat is counted as a hit. 1 check equals 1 hit, a roll of 5 is 1 hit, a roll of 6 is 2 hits. The weapon bonus is simply a weapon bonus value is simply counted as an additional hit, which is added to your core roll. Weapons may have 1 or more of a bonus, meaning 1 or more hits. You can spend energy points to turn any failed d6 roll into a hit. So those energy points really span across this entire game. Okay, so if we're attacking with our sword, which is +1, and our enemy has a defense of 2, that would be an utter failure. I don't actually have critical fails in my game or crits for success. So let's try again. Okay, let's just say that this one was a 6. Defense was 2 of the adversary. But our weapon grants an additional hit. So we have 3 hits, which means -2. That's 1 hit the enemy takes. Success. Well, kind of. Kind of a weak hit. Defending is basically in reverse. when the enemy attacks you, you're trying to land more hit. They are trying to land, I should say, yeah, more hits than your defense. Any hit above your defense counts as a hit on your counter. So you would tally a hit box, counting the amount of hits over your defense. So defense is not like AC and D&D. If it's matched, it doesn't have a damage roll. Attack roll and damage is combined in my game, but it has to exceed defense. And it says here, remember, you can only take up to 5 hits. If you have no armor equipped, your defense is only 1, which is also up here in armor, I believe. Yep. If you have no armor equipped to your defense. It's kind of just a reminder. Okay. You can spend energy points to nullify incoming hits that exceed your defense. So our defense currently in this demonstration is 2. Let's roll a enemy who has just claws, no weapons, so which means it's a core hardy roll. They roll 3 or so, and that's 2 successes. Let's say they also landed at 5, just for demonstrative purposes. That's 3. Okay, I can spend a point here to nullify that exceeding hit. Not necessarily, I don't have a rule here saying you cannot nullify, there's no reason to nullify anything less than your defense. It's just whatever exceeds. So it's kind of a easy rule to grasp. Okay, if you did get hit, you would tally a hit, obviously. Movement typically moves up, and everyone typically moves up to 25 feet. Smaller, faster characters move faster at 30 feet. Larger, slower characters move at less at 20 feet. Okay, healing. This has gone through some changes, as has some other aspects of my game. If you survive combat not incapacitated, you automatically heal 1 hit. After a short rest in a safe area without disruption, you can heal 2 hits. A full night's rest heals 4 or less hits. If you are incapacitated with 5 hits, you need to be cared for in a safe area for a full week to fully heal. Depending on the role setting, certain items and abilities can heal you by a certain amount of hits. I verified here, if you're not cared for within the hour of being incapacitated, then you die. Abilities: magic, superhuman, psionics, mutations, etc. You can spend 1 energy point to use 1 ability at a time. Your energy point supply automatically replenishes inside itself after a night's rest. Used to be after a session, but I want to keep it consistent to the world setting, so I changed it. Weapons and armor. Weapons are ranked as a bonus value when rolled with their applicable core, hardy or agility. This actually should be capitalized. The bonus is counted as an additional hit. Some weapons may have 1 or more. Armor type is simply a positive value. The higher the armor value, the higher the defense. Only the highest rated armor is counted towards defense. And enemy generation has also seen some updates here. There are 2 types of enemies, minions and majors. Minions can take up to 2 hits, while majors can take up to 4. When they take their maximum amount of hits during combat, they are defeated. Enemies only have 2 cores, hardy and agility. They don't have the other 3. They may also wield a weapon and have some armor equipped, depending on what type of enemy they are. Wild creatures typically don't have wielded weapons or armor equipped, so only their 2 cores may be considered for combat. If enemy has no armor, the defense is 1. Depending on the setting, enemies may also wield abilities. And the last section here is upgrading, which has remained the same, albeit some updates as far as clarifications. At the end of each session, you're awarded experience points, XP. 1 XP for participating in the session, 2 XP after a successful boss fight, 3 XP for completing a quest or milestone. You can spend XP on one of the following upgrades after a session: 20 XP to upgrade any core +1, 10 experience points for adding 1 plus ability. I should say +1 ability. There we go. Spend XP is deducted from your total. Upgrading Hardy also improves your inventory, and actually that is not correct there. I'll erase that. There we go. Inventory. Upgrading Craft also improves your EP limit. So there you go. And I think there's one more. That's it. So that's my game. This kind of extended to a update on my game. But what I mainly wanted to show you guys was the character creation process, which is incredibly simple and fast, and point buy system, along with just writing down some details. So this character here, I'm going to save this character sheet. It's just a 5x8 note card. The character sheet itself is a 5x8 document, so it can print on these note cards if your printer allows it. And if you have any questions or considerations or comments, please type down below. I'm always willing to listen to critiques, and if you have suggestions, feel free to give some input. So that's my game, Havoc5. There is really no about me section yet. I'm still working on the core mechanics, pun intended. So this obviously will see some changes, which is a disclaimer I like to say in every video. Then I do an update because this thing has gone through so many toasters. It is just beyond the original at this point. So, but it's really turning out very well, and I'm happy to continue working on this until I decide to use it in a test run, which may just be my next video. So thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.